Hi, we're here with Austin American-Statesman reporter Sean Collins Walsh, and he's going to tell us a little bit about the Travis County DA race. Sean, can you just tell us how the kind of race unfolded here?
Sure. So for a long time, it looked like Gary Cobb was going to become the next district attorney. He's a Democrat. He's a longtime prosecutor. He ran in 2008, and he had lined up support among most of the Democratic insiders in a heavily Democratic county, which is Travis County. And then the American-Statesman wrote a story that revealed that Cobb owed his ex-wife $163,000 for a divorce from 1994. It was a court-ordered debt, and he had made conflicting statements and depositions in that court case. That created a stir. A couple more candidates got in the race on the Democratic side and one on the Republican side. So on the Democratic side, we now have former County Attorney Margaret Moore, who was county attorney in the early 80s or late 70s and has served in various roles. She was appointed to the County Commissioner's Office, worked in the State Attorney General's Office. And then Rick Reed, who ran for DA in 2008. He's a former prosecutor. He's a defense attorney now. And he's also run for DA in Dallas County years back.
And just to clarify, that debt issue, has that since been resolved?
Yes. Cobb, since this has all come to light, settled his debt with his ex-wife for $60,000. They agreed to that, and now it's all cleared up.
Okay, and what are some of the main issues in the race between the three candidates that are in the primary?
Sure. Gary Cobb, when he speaks on the campaign trail, he's been talking a lot about the need to bring law enforcement into a better relationship with minority communities. He would be the first black DA in Travis County if he's elected, and he has sort of seized on the momentum of the Black Lives Matter movement and talked about the need to make reforms that will make law enforcement more sensitive to African Americans and Latinos and other minorities. Margaret Moore, who was the other front runner in the race, is kind of Cobb and Moore look most likely to be going neck and neck. Margaret Moore has talked a lot about ethics. Like I said, she got in the race after the kerfuffle over Cobb's past issues, and she wants to restore the integrity of the office is something she says a lot, and she's trying to build the image of the office as a place of integrity.
Okay, and there seems to be an issue still with Cobb's eligibility. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so Rick Reed, who has not polled very well, but is also running in the Democratic primary, he filed a challenge to Gary Cobb's eligibility based on the signatures that Cobb submitted to appear on the ballot. You have to submit 500 signatures or pay a fee. Cobb opted for the signatures. Reed has said that some of those signatures are invalid because of clerical errors. Cobb won a preliminary ruling in which a judge declined to remove him from the ballot. So Cobb's on the ballot, but the case is still ongoing. So there's a slight possibility that he could be removed further down the line from being eligible.
And do you anticipate that that's going to be a problem at all for him with voters? Is there a doubt?
I don't know. It's tough to tell if voters will take that into account. There's a chance, theoretically, that if he does win the Democratic primary and is then removed, that the Republican, Mara Phelan, will become DA without having to face an opponent in the primary or the general election. It seems unlikely given the initial ruling in Cobb's favor, so it's tough to tell if that has really sunk in with voters. I think if they see a name on the ballot, they assume it's good to go.
Yeah, and final question is just taking a look at polls that you've seen. Maybe is there a clear front runner? Are we looking at a runoff here?
There is not a clear front runner. Moore and Cobb could be in a runoff. It's unclear. Cobb obviously had a long head start on the campaign. His campaign was organized months earlier in terms of fundraising and reaching out to voters. And then Moore, though, in two recent polls that were released publicly, one by Annie's List, which is endorsing her, and one by Mark Littlefield, who is a political strategist that's not aligned in the race, they showed Moore leading, but not above 50%. So it looks like a runoff would be the case. Gary Cobb's campaign says they had polling that showed he was strong.
Okay, great. Thanks, Sean.
Thanks very much.